Greetings, internets. I'm here to do a little demonstration of how you can use Ableton Live's audio slicing algorithms to add a little bit of variety to your electronic dance loops. So I've got here kind of just a little dance groove going. We've got this basic house drum beat that I made, and little bass loop, and finish it off, we've got some synths on top. So just a kind of a really simple little pattern here to play around with. Something that we can maybe make a little bit more interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is go up here to our drum loop track, and if we right click on our clip called loop 1, we'll get this menu. We're going to go down to slice to new MIDI track. Any of you who are familiar with the Propeller Heads Recycle and Rex Player software may be familiar with the concept of taking an audio loop and slicing it and mapping these slices to different MIDI notes on the keyboard. So this is Ableton's way of doing the same thing. So we've got this little dialog box here. I'm going to go ahead and change the slice size to quarter note so that this loop is 4 bars long. That's 16 beats, and I want to have 16 slices, 1 per beat. And as for the slicing preset, I'm just go ahead and change it to built-in 0 velocity, which is a pretty simple algorithm, but it'll take velocity out of the picture so that no matter how hard our MIDI note is pressed, it's going to still be the same volume no matter what. So let's hit OK here and let it do its thing. And you'll see that automatically Ableton creates a brand new MIDI instrument, a drum kit instrument, and it loads up a slice of our drum loop, 1 beat per slice, and we got 16 of them here. And it even has been so kind as to give us 16 slices loaded into a MIDI clip, so that when we solo this track and play it, our drum loop sounds exactly the same. If I solo the original drum loop, you'll notice that there's really no difference. That's really convenient because we can now kind of alter this drum loop without having to do any audio editing. We can just simply change these MIDI slices, which are triggering audio clips, and rearrange them to create a new interesting loop. So I like to add some little drum rolls. It's kind of nice to just duplicate. It's Apple D, and it'll duplicate the loops right across. Maybe let's do a little roll pattern here at the end. Keep in mind that you can always just double click in any of the grid places to create a note and then just drag it to make it as big as you like. So we've made that drum loop a little more interesting. So now let's go ahead and take the synth, the keys loop, and the bass loop and do the same thing. I'm just going to right click on the clip, slice to new, make sure that we've changed our slicing size to match, to create 16 slices, built-in 0 velocity. And I'm going to do the same here with the bass. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and mute the original loop. So you've got a drum loop here. Let's move them down one. Keys loop and a bass loop. I've muted all those. So now when I go and hit play on my master clip, we'll notice that so let's go and play with the keys a little bit. We remember when we click on our track view, by hitting Shift Tab, it'll toggle between the instrument view and the clip view. So this is our instrument in the same track, and this is the MIDI information. So I'm just going to go ahead, click in the middle, hit Apple A, which will select all of our MIDI notes here. I'm just going to make it a little bit more staccato by pulling it back like this. Maybe at the end I'll have it go a little bit longer. Go back to the original. That's kind of nice. And then for the bass loop, let's do the same thing. So what we've done now is, just by playing with, making some really basic changes to the MIDI information that corresponds to the audio slices, we've created a much more interesting pattern here than we originally had, and we didn't even have to do any audio editing. So if we compare this to our original track, here we go, sorry, turn those tracks back on. Our original track. And our new track sounds like this. So what I've done is relatively simple. I'm sure that you can take these concepts and push them much further and create some really interesting new variations on some simple grooves. Thanks for listening. Take care.